working his jelly, working his sort of accolades and his station in life to get you these opportunities. Right. What do you think the conversation is like now? Is this now the time where you can have the real conversation that I think I would have with my son, or that I have had with my son? Hey man, I've done all I could, right? Like in high school, at the every game.
I thought it was at, okay, hold on, we're at the 33. Is this the one where it was at the 20-second mark? Let's see.
Single week. Right now, obviously with Dak signing that contract,
Okay,
the team may be bad enough to draft him, but I don't know if there will be. You got to go stand on your own 10. If he gets an opportunity to play in the league, I can't go. I've done all I possibly could for you. It's on you now. Bronny at that stage, Fred. I've done all I possibly could.
Nah, look, trust me. I was there. My son obviously was drafted in 2016. Same thing. I said, look, this is what we're going to do.
So we found it.
This is what I
believe
you need to work on. I've seen it all on the blueprint. You got to trust me. And he was hesitant. He kind of felt like he wanted to be his own man and do it his own way, and I respected him for that. Like, I believe that you would have benefited from us working together one-on-one, you know, more than none. But he was like, hey, I'm going to do my thing. So I said, all right. And I give him an opportunity to fall on his face. That's what I said. And I want him to figure out if that hurt or not. Because then you got to find out how to pick yourself up. Fast forward, he was able to come back and say, Dad, I should listen to you. I should have listened to you. And I respect him even more for being big enough man to have that conversation. Bronny and Brun, they have to have a conversation. I think it's time for you to let him fly and see how it all works out. He's his own man. It might even be better, what you said, RC. Let me get the reps. Let me get the experience. But more than that, the one thing we all missed the most when we were no longer able to play the game before the playing is the camaraderie, that fucking locker room. And that's why this podcast has been so special. It gives us that feeling. We're able to talk about the memories. You know what I'm saying? So I think they would be doing Bronny a disservice not to put him or allow him to experience those situations, those moments, and just the locker room and being one of the fellas and him looking in and proving to himself that, hey, this is who I really am at the end of the day.
And this is the time where Lil Chan recently, he's 13, so I was a year ago when he struck out, he plays baseball year round. He started crying. He would cry. And I had to tell him, like I went at him like, hey man, it's okay, you get another bat. The best players, Hall of Famers hit 4 for 10. And I say little stuff like that. It got to a point that I got frustrated. And now he's 11 or 12. I said, man, what's crying gonna do? What is crying gonna help? What are you being this emotional gonna help? You gonna help you hit the ball good or play in the outfield? Because now you done struck out, now you gotta get on third. Now you gotta go to first. And it clicked to him. So like that's the lead up. That's what LeBron, you see him working, and you see all the videos, him working with Bronny and doing all that. That's what a dad's supposed to do. Right. To your point, and to your point about Joe, I think this is the time where the history has been made. History's been made with LeBron. They got the video, they did the 2 pick and rolls. I said it before, 2 wasted possessions, but it is what it is. And now it's the time to, like you say, push him out the nest. You're my son. Your name is Bronny, my name's LeBron. It's not James and Jim. We know who this is. It's time now that he has to prove to himself. But RC, I thought when you said prove to himself, I agree with you. But he needs to prove it to his teammates and the world that I'm not just here because my dad's LeBron James. That's what he has to do. And that's what I think, Bron, so to answer your initial question, I think that's the conversation. I think LeBron James is a genius man, an amazing father, philanthropist, husband. I think LeBron James knows that enough. I think they said that.
All right, so that's where this is months ago. And I was like, man, he kind of sounds just like how Stephen A sounds now, where they bring up all these outside things when they're speaking on one topic. And to me, I just think that people go to all those outside things when they can't stay on topic because they don't even believe in how strong of a point that they're trying to make. So it's one of those situations where I think that if they had the same control or power or leverage that LeBron has, they will use that same leverage. You see Freddie T when he was talking about his son, how his son didn't want to work with him. And then his son had to, kind of fall on his face and then come back. The problem is, the NFL is fast. You don't listen, then you could be out the NFL and then it could be that regret there. So you do want to let them kind of make some mistakes, but at the same time, if you see that in them, you kind of want to make sure that you're kind of pushing them and, giving them pushing the right buttons with your kids. So I'm going to say this kind of early before we even go through all the Bronny stuff. If you notice, ever since LeBron went up to Stephen A at that game, Bronny has been a different beast. So since then, he scored 17 versus Milwaukee when a lot of the starters were out. He scored 39 in the G League. He's averaging 21, I think 21, 5 and 5 in the G League. That nobody talks about. People who are not in touch with or in tune with the NBA, they act like it's nothing to average that, which is crazy because everybody's in the G League fighting. And that's actually part of the reason why Bronny is getting better in the NBA is because he actually is in there with people in the G League who are scrapping and clawing so they can get called up. We're even going to go through the list of, how many players actually get called up, because we just got to give you the facts on these situations, because a lot of times people get outside of the facts and they're talking about their feelings, and that is entertainment, but that is not analysis. So analysis is using the facts. Let's get back to it here.
Down, have a dinner, and he says, okay, this happened. We got the picture. You need to go follow your basketball path and see if it works out. And if it doesn't, me and your mom are going to be here with your brother and your sister, and we can continue to be a family. Your career is now Bronny James, separated from the dynasty of being the second best basketball player of all time, because I can't disrespect MJ.
Yeah.
Now it's Bronny. Now you have your little bubble, and I have this empire I've built. See what you can create.
Yeah.
So I saw the clips on this and I knew that this was the actual episode. But it's so funny because if you notice how I said that, him, Channing and Stephen A, they sound so much alike. And they always kind of bring up the GOAT thing, and they always bring up the father, family man, all this stuff. And they always kind of bring up all that stuff before they actually say what they're going to say. And it's just funny how similar that their cadence is when they actually speak on Bronny James. That's just kind of funny. That's just kind of something I noted because, just all the research I do, I just hear how they do it. And actually, I got a clip where you're going to hear Stephen A going through all the accolades. It's funny because Channing kind of sounds like that.
Rich Paul said something that I remember very vividly. He said, Bronny James wants this. He said that Savannah and LeBron didn't go through what he went through with his heart and with the complications of coming back from that surgery. Now's the time to show me that. Show me that you want it, right? I remember, man, Mike T, very vividly, we were having a conversation at practice because our kids are the same age. And he said, I'm trying to give my kids what I learned from my experiences of not having anything without having to make them go through what I went through and get that, right? How do I give my kid the hunger of being broke? How do I give my kid the want to of never having and wanting to have without putting them in that position? How do I teach them that every day that you're going out and you're facing this dude that if he don't make it, his mama don't eat? Not just him, his mama don't eat, his kids don't eat. How do I give you the same will to win that that dude has when you already got everything? When your NIL is more than people will make for the rest of their lives. When the endorsement deals that you have are more than the first overall pick in this draft. How do I tell you, somebody who has all these things, and let's be honest, and has not earned them himself?
I think this is very simple. This is one of those situations where if it's something that, they're talking about their kids, but we'll just use Bronny because that's the main subject. If this is something that Bronny really wants, then this is something he'll work towards, and this is something he'll keep pushing and fighting for. You won't need to push him. You won't need to give him that will. He'll have it inside of him already. When you are pushing your children to do things outside of what they want to do, yeah, you got to have those extra pushes and, all those things. But when it's something they want to do, they'll push, they'll go for it. That's what it is. So you don't determine what they're fighting for. You let them show you that this is what I want to fight for.
Based on his play, right? Based on his accolades, how do I make that person a dog? Right? You know what I'm saying? And to me, like Fred said, part of that is clipping the wings, right? It's like the birds, right? Birds, they feed the little babies and eventually they kick them out and they gotta go fly. Like it's time for him to go fly because we all know there's a soft spot for him to land.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like even when you kick him out, if them wings don't work, man, don't even worry, man. He got a soft spot to land.
Yeah.
Hey man, the pivot is all about trailblazers. And I think one of the biggest trailblazers of our generation was my What you doing?
Don't set that precedent. Goodness gracious. Bro, say the game. I think the locker room's changing. I think with the attention, with the social media, with all that, it's changing. Like people they want to be known, they want to be seen, they want to go viral.
This is over an hour long. We're not gonna go through the whole thing. I'm gonna wrap this clip up here and say this. I think that the way that they view it is definitely the old school way. And before social media and before, people actually got to know these different athletes and entertainers and, college stars when they're young, I think that was the way. You just kind of push them out there and just, kind of let them go through things. But I don't think that's the right way, because there's definitely a more efficient way where you just tap into what they actually have a passion for, and you kind of help them and guide them and kind of open up some of the doors so they can go in that route. And I think that's a more efficient way, especially when you just look at, somebody like LeBron James' kids. That's just the way that it's going to be. That's the way that they have to do it. LeBron can't just, say, you know what, Bronny, I know you want to go to USC, but so you can get humble and so you can, get that aggressiveness. let's send you to a community college for a year first. He can't do that. You know he can't do that. But how many people in their age range actually went to a community college first? And it was because a lot of times the finances weren't together. So they went to a community college. So the potential to get their degree was cheaper than them going to a 4-year college. This is a different time. It's a totally different time. Just with safety and, just with safety. I'll just leave it at safety. So that's not the way that I would say you should handle it. It's definitely a more efficient way. So I don't agree. I don't know how much more they got on Bronny. Let's see if they have anything else on Bronny in this one.
However they want to do this, these dudes are different now. So that same thing you talking about, bro, as soon as you started, it just was stories popping up in my mind of, oh yeah, oh, I remember he had to call me to pick him upside the road. Oh, I remember that. I was his lie. Hey, see, I was with you all night.
And you don't ask no questions.
You don't ask no questions.
No questions.
So 3 hours later, I get a call. Channing was, I call him George. Was George with you last night? Yeah, man, me and George, when we
business. But the guys that do move like that, whether they be single or, married guys that are moving like that.
All right, so they taking this into a different place. I think that's my commentary on that clip and that video and where it's going. I just think that, they're just viewing it totally different than the way I would view it.